Hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be a video of me making a foam wedding cake. What is a half foam, half real cake. It is a 4-tiered cake, so we're going to get started with covering up the foam boards, foam cakes. This is a 12-inch foam cake, and as you can see, I am wrapping it extra super duper tight. I went ahead and put my plastic all around it and just connected it to in the middle. So right here I am grabbing a 6-inch board, and this one is going to be taped down. And then the reason why I'm doing this is because I am not going to be hot gluing my foam, of course, because then it's just going to melt with the hot glue. So what I'm doing here is I'm going in and adding some extra structure by adding these cake boards in between, so I can go ahead with my hot glue gun, attach the tiers together. So this is a 12-inch, and I'm also going to be doing it to this 10-inch as well. So 12 and 10 with the boards in the between them. This is just going to let me, like I said, use that hot glue gun and connect these and glue these together, because obviously there ain't no other way to connect them together other than using toothpicks, which is also a great idea. I honestly did forget to add the toothpicks in the beginning, so oopsie daisies. I don't know why I forgot that process, but I'm forgetful sometimes, so here we are. But I did kind of fix it in the midst of looking at it and everything, making sure everything was good. I did realize that I had forgot the toothpicks, so I will show you what I did for that. So here I am. I'm just kind of measuring around, making sure this cake is centered onto the cake board, the cake drum, and I did grab a ruler because I was like, I just don't want it to be way too off and then, be on one side more than the other. So it was perfect. And so I just went ahead and added some hot glue from that middle board to the cake drum. So that's going to be the one of the many ways I'm going to attach and add this structure to this cake drum. So I'm going to be repeating this process with that 10-inch and that 12-inch together. And yeah, once I am done repeating the process, I'm just going to go ahead and smush it really tight, trying to make sure it is as stuck as possible. And so we're moving on to the next day. Basically, I went ahead and remember I told you I forgot about those toothpicks. So I went ahead and grabbed some toothpicks, and I inserted them sideways. I cannot talk for the life of me. I inserted them sideways, that way they could attach onto that 12-inch cake, foam cake, and it did stick pretty well. It wasn't lifting too much like it was before, and that was basically it. So I fixed it the best way I could. So here I am. I'm going to start decorating this cake. Whoever says decorating a foam cake is easier and probably the best thing ever, it is not true. I don't know why customers think just because it's a fake cake it's easier to work with or cheaper to work with, whatever. I find it very hard just because it is super flimsy. It's not stable. It's a really light cake, so it's moving all over the place. So as you can see, I was struggling a little bit. I ended up grabbing my piping bag and filling it up with buttercream and adding the buttercream all around the cake. Not all the way, but at least the bottom tier was at least covered up enough that I could work with all that buttercream and moving it around better. The buttercream added a lot more weight to it, so that's always a good thing, honestly, that it adds that weight, because that's what you want on a cake, not for it to be flimsy and moving around like it's nuts, it's just crazy. So here I am. I'm just going to be going ahead and smoothing this out and spreading it all over the cake. and getting it as smooth as possible. I did skip through a lot of this just because it is I went through it so many times because I kid you not, it sticks beautifully onto the cake. I love that it does stick really nice to the cake. I don't have a problem with that. Um, I always have a problem with smoothing out my cakes. And you're gonna probably say, oh my gosh, it's not smooth, it's not the best. Yes, it's not always the best. I'm still learning. It's really not that easy to make a cake, but I feel like I've gotten so far. And I really, oh my gosh, this cake, it came out so beautiful at the end. It'll all be worth it. So, like I tell everybody, please trust the process because you see it one way right now, but I promise you the end results are chef's kiss. So, after going over with it for the millionth time, I went ahead and added I grabbed my stainless steel scraper and I dip it in some hot water so it could smooth it out one last time. And I know y'all see the creases on the way top. It will be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and let it chill in the fridge and then cut those off. I promise you this is not the end results. I keep on going over it and over and over and over and over again. Like for the 20 millionth time. I go over it so many times that you're gonna be like, it's insane, right? And that's the parts that I don't show you as well. So keep that in mind. Um, it's really hard to get a cake like super duper smooth and no lines, no creases, and anything like that. I mean, it's doable, but it's just so hard for me. Once I put that in the fridge to let it cool down, I go ahead and start crumb coating what is going to be my 8-inch cake, and it is a chocolate cake. So I'm just going to go ahead and start crumb coating that one. And then I'm going to crumb coat also the 6-inch cake. That one was a vanilla cake, and they are each 2 layered cakes. And I am working with frozen cake layers. It is always the best way. If I'm making something in advance, I will do it frozen. If I'm doing it like one day to another, I'll work with it a little thought out and stuff like that. It really makes no difference. They're pretty delicious regardless. I promise. Everybody knows that a thought out cake after it's frozen, it's really good. It's really moist. Why? Because we keep our cakes wrapped up to get that moistness. I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's perfect regardless. So many bakers work with frozen layers. I also tend to do that. Not all the time. It just depends. If you tell me last minute, if I have something in the fridge, like in the freezer, I'll definitely pull it out for you and use it. And I promise you, it will have the same taste as one that's literally freshly made. But of course, I don't keep them in my freezer too long. But that's why it's always better, like, to order in advance and stuff like that so you don't get something frozen. And then sometimes too, of course, you're not always going to get something frozen from me. Of course, that's just me. If you do order last minute and I don't have it and I can do it for you, I'll definitely do it. But working with frozen cake layers is always the best thing. It throws less crumbs. So as you can see, I'm crumb coating and I don't have a lot of crumbs coming out like off of the cake. And if it was a thawed out cake, I promise you, or a freshly made cake, you will have crumbs all over the place. So all that brown bread on the side will literally be all over the place. That is one of the pros of working with a frozen cake, is that you don't have no crumbs at all. And I love it, honestly. I really, really do. But yeah, so this is actually my 6-inch cake. And like I said, it is 2 layers. I did have to go ahead and cut the top because it was a little round from the top and I wanted them to be a little bit more on the straight side for this cake specifically. I try not to cut off the tops of the cakes just because I feel like I love to give everybody the most, and I can fix it honestly by adding more buttercream or whipped cream between the layers or on the sides just to balance it out. But yeah, I did have to go ahead and cut this one because I didn't want it to be flimsy or nothing like that. Either way, it is stable, so I'm not too worried about it, but still I just didn't want to risk it. So after crumb coating, I do go ahead and add my final layer of the cake. And like I said, this is a wedding cake, so it's going to be a plain white cake. Of course, getting a white buttercream is super duper hard, so it is as white as possible. The ending results, like I said, chef's kiss, so just wait and watch. Here I am just adding this final layer to the 8-inch, and I will be doing that as well to the 6-inch. Once I am done adding the final coat to the 8 and the 6-inch layers, it is literally time to stack up this cake. And this part always gives me the chills. It literally is so I get really nervous. Let's just say I get so nervous. It's really dreadful to do it just because you don't want it to come out wrong or anything like that. And of course, I touched the cake. Yes, it's buttercream, so it's super duper easy to fix. If it was a whipped cream cake, it would definitely be a little bit more on the harder side because whipped cream, like I said, is a little bit more flimsier. It tends to dent once you touch. So that is why I love working with buttercream best. But yeah, so here I am just scraping some of it off. It's not perfect. I'm gonna keep on doing it after the fact, once everything is stacked up and but I did go ahead and kind of smooth it out here and there and try to fix it as much as I could before adding that fourth tier, just because I didn't want to touch it too much. But knowing me, I always tend to touch it because I'm never satisfied. But I feel like the more I touch it, the more I mess it up. So who gets me anyways? But yeah, definitely the stainless steel method with some hot water is always the best thing to do when smoothing out a buttercream cake. I love to do that. And right here, I am going in with this little piping bag. I'm just gonna cut it a little bit and put some buttercream in between those creases where the cakes separate at. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just adding a little bit of buttercream, and that's basically it. Running my finger through it just to get that crease. It don't ever come out perfect for me. I don't know how y'all do it. Other bakers, should I say, but they do it fantastically beautiful. So I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyways, here I am. And that's it. It's stacked up and it's good to go. Here we are. We're going to go ahead and start stacking up this 6-inch cake. I did put a dowel in between just because it is easier to grab and everything with it on. I should have done that with the 8-inch, but I wasn't thinking. And yeah, so right here, I'm just trying to place it in the center. And once I am happy with the way it looks, I go ahead and start hammering down that dowel. That way it has that support inside. I did leave it sticking out just a little tiny bit just because during transport, it is always a good thing for me. In my opinion, it's always good to have that dowel right there sticking out just a little tiny bit just so you can grab onto it or just hold it tight basically. But yeah, now they make those cake safe boxes, which are pretty pricey but definitely worth it, but too pricey for me, so I'm gonna stick with my Home Depot box and holding that dowel. Anyways, here I am. I'm adding all of these sprinkles. So they're just the little tiny white sprinkles, and I'm putting those all over the cake. I didn't realize it, but somebody told me you can spray some water on the cake and they'll stick so much better. So that's what I ended up doing, and actually adding water to my glove as well so they could stick better. I did add a few medium-sized and large ones as well. And in the next clip, you're going to see me a little crusty, but because I was barely waking up, dropping off the kids at school and everything, and I just went ahead and started cutting up these flowers that I had, and I'm going to be adding these to the cake all around. So in 5 different spots, I'm just literally looking and picking where I see best. And yeah, you have to have an eye for this, honestly, because you can't just place the flowers anywhere. You have to make sure that they look pretty, full, and just go well with whatever you're going for. So I think I did a pretty great job at it. But yeah, so I'm adding these little, what are they called? I forget what they're called, but these little baby ones. And then I add some roses, some white roses, and some mini ones as well, and some thinner ones, so that way it pops out a little bit. So I didn't think about it, but I was like, man, like getting it in the foam is pretty hard because it was just a little stems, and those are like the flimsier parts. So I went ahead with another stick, like where the big stem came at. That one is more sturdy and everything. So I grabbed one of those and started just poking the cake wherever I was going to place the flowers at, because getting it through that foam board, it was just not it. It was super duper hard. But I managed to do it with that stem that it came with. So yeah, I go ahead and just place all these flowers everywhere. And there you go. See, you see how I'm just sticking it in and sticking it in. That made the process way much faster, honestly, because like I said, at first I was struggling. And then of course the buttercream is so thick as well that it really was a little on the harder side. So that helped out a lot. After I'm done with that one and I'm happy with the way it's placed and everything, I go ahead and move on to the next part. So it's gonna be one side and then the other, and then one side, the other side, and vice versa. So as you can see, I ended up doing that stick part first, that little stem part, the harder part, and then I started sticking all of these in there, and it worked wonders. I did go ahead and grab the cake from that dowel, the one that I left on top, just because the cake was kind of shifting a little bit and I was kind of nervous at that point. But holding on to that dowel, like I said, honestly was such a lifesaver because the cake didn't move too much after that. But yeah, guys, I really do hope that y'all enjoyed this video and y'all learned something new. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you guys think, and please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I've done YouTube before for nails and stuff, but this is my official first cake video that I'm literally trying to go for. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and let me know if y'all like the placement of the flowers, and give me tips if y'all have any for the next time. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.